Michael. Well, listen, thanks for taking out the time to do this. I know you got to be pretty busy if you're getting ready to go to Toronto.
Yeah,
So,
we're leaving early Thursday, and there's more than I can get done here before I go.
well, appreciate your time.
All right.
So, I'd like to start this out, Michael, with something that I heard from a really good friend of mine, Bruce Lipton. He's a microbiologist, and sort of set the tone for this interview. He once told me, he says, remember the story about the caterpillar becoming a butterfly? And I said, yeah. He says, well, something that a lot of people don't really recognize is the fact that there's that part in the middle, because the caterpillar ends up eating hundreds of times its weight in food and almost destroys its environment. But for some unknown reason, it finds some place to hang upside down and spins its cocoon and completely starts breaking down. And in the midst of that chaos, if you would open up that cocoon, it looks like a bunch of, well, let's just call it garbage. Looks like a bunch of chaotic garbage. But inside all of those cells that look really chaotic are something called imaginative cells. And he says that the amazing thing about the imaginative cells is they somehow pick up on a visionary experience of what has to be. And they use all of the chaotic cells that look like they're nothing but garbage from the old caterpillar days and reformulate that into a new pattern of a butterfly. And I think in today's world, that's what we call our visionaries. People that are able to use the old worn out garbage of our past, all of our, call it mistakes for lack of better words, but they're able to use that and see beyond the chaos, see beyond the conflict, see beyond all of the negativity and go, okay, it's time to take a deep breath, tune into what is really necessary, and start visualizing a new future and use what we have here at our disposal. And this reminds me of you. You know, you're like I don't know, when my wife and I first watched The Garbage Warrior, we were obviously impressed. You know, it's a very impressive thing you're doing. But when we bought all of your manuals, and when we read your vision, and we just thought, you know what? This is really, really important in today's world. No matter if they use your system or straw bale houses or whatever, we have to start living not just sustainable. We have to really bring it down a notch and let the earth really revitalize itself. So that's really why we wanted to talk to you today, because we honestly believe in what you're doing. And we have friends in Brazil that really want to hear you when you go to Rio. They own thousands of acres outside of Brasilia. And we're all totally into what you're trying to do, Michael. So I really appreciate your time and the possibility of helping you spread the word.
Okay, thanks.
You are one of the imaginative cells. I bet of all the things, when you were 20 years old, if somebody told you, someday you're going to be called the Garbage Warrior and an imaginative cell, you'd have probably just laughed at them.
Probably.
So where are we at today, Michael, with everything that you're doing?
Well, it's sort of, I'd have to say it's a crescendo situation. We've started an academy, and it's turning out to be beyond our wildest dreams, because when you get young, not always young, but just eager to evolve people together in one place, wanting to learn from our past decades of mistakes, but also wanting the same thing, wanting a better world. The Academy has attracted a bunch of people like that, and that's fueling us. We're fueling them. We're doing projects all over the world, plus the academy. Now the academy is getting integrated into that, and it's all just it's a lot, and we're just trying to, it's almost like having a tiger by the tail. We're trying to keep up with what's going on, and it's definitely taking up every ounce of energy and time, but it's giving us energy at the same time. So it's an amazing time for this idea, because it is needed at this point, and we have been doing it for so long. We're pretty good at it, but we're constantly learning. Like part of what you were saying made me think of one of the things that we have really learned in the last few years, is that part of the whole thing is in us, and having, we're coming up with all kinds of ways to use garbage and make energy and harvest water and contain and treat sewage and grow food. Yeah, we're doing all of those things because those systems in the real world here are all flailing right now. But another thing that I would have to point out to everyone I get a chance to talk to is part of the battle is in our own minds and hearts. We have to need less. We have to realize that it can be much more simple to stay alive on this planet, because there are so many people, and there are dwindling resources, and there are so many things that are out of control. A more simple life is the first step for everyone.
Yeah, I like what you said once. You said, live simply so others can simply live.
Yeah, I didn't say that. An economist, E.F. Shoemaker, said that.
Yep. Well, it's a good one to lay on you, because that's exactly what this is about.
Yeah. And when you're trying to make your own power and harvest your own water and grow your own food and contain and treat your own sewage and heat and cool yourself in your own shelter, when you're trying to do those things, it's a hell of a lot easier to do those things when it's a small amount of power that you need. And if you're making your own power, all of a sudden you're going to go, well, I don't know that I need to leave these lights on all night long, or I don't know that I need to do this. So there are a lot of tricks. I don't know that I need to water my lawn all night long if I'm harvesting my own water. When you put yourself in charge of your utilities, then it does cause you to go, question what your uses are. And, when you start doing that, then you start making room for other people to stay alive on this planet, and plants and animals. You start making room for others.
Yeah, my wife is from Brazil, Dara, and one of the first things she noticed when she came up here was, she said, "This is crazy. Everybody has green lawns out in front. Why doesn't everybody grow food?"
Yeah.
And being an American and indoctrinated into the climatology of being an American, I never even thought about it. But the more I thought about it, it's actually changed our lives. We have a garden out back. We have a whole solar bank of solar panels. We have 2 wind turbines. But it feeds back into the system and just sort of equalizes our electric bill. But, it's a start. It's a start. Because we really think, now here's where we have to get a little bit real. I mean, I think maybe you have more faith in people than I do. I'm not sure. But the good thing about your system is, as an individual, it can be really great. Collectively, it could save lives and mankind. But I'm not too sure if people will do this until it's too late, because people are so comfortable, especially in the United States. And I think this is something you're going to notice when you go to Brazil. People in other countries are more open to this. One word when you go to Brazil: favela. We had an idea in Brazil when we first watched The Garbage Warrior to get in touch with the powers that be in Rio and start a movement because you could start at the favela at one level and just start working your way down and using all of their bricks and stones and mud and just revitalize that whole area. But that would be a quite a job to tackle. But here in the United States, I don't know. I think people are going to stay on this boat until the bow sinks. But it's really good to get the word out for the people that really want to take advantage of this. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm pretty sure that see, you can go either way. You can say that the world is not going to make it, but we're just going to make a few people as comfortable as possible on the way down. You can say that we may make it in time, but the thing is, that's the future. Now is obvious. We need to start making today and tomorrow a little better for the next day after that. I mean, I'm not really looking too far down the line. I'm looking at what I have to do right now, and what I have to do right now is a lot. And I'm trying to make, we know quite a bit about how we can make ourselves survive. And we're seeing that it's valuable enough that we want it. We want to share it as much as possible. When the whole process is like going to Haiti after the earthquake and trying to take what we know and make it work for them. So you'd say that's a nice thing to do and help those people and whatever. The truth is, we came back, we learned more than we taught. We learned how simple it could be to live, and how the quality of life can be a lot better by living simply. And I mean, we came back educated from really trying to educate them. And so you just never know what you're going to get into, and there's no need to predict the future or be worried about the future. Let's make right now as good as we can, and that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, because I'm 64 now, and I think you've probably learned also that looking back in my life, almost everything I've ever worried about never happened. So yeah. It as you get older, you realize that, and you live more in the moment, because we can't really tell what's going to happen in the future. But I know what you mean about other countries. We just got back from Brazil, and there's so many people living really, really simply. And again, that's what I like about your system, because what most people see as a problem, garbage, you see as a solution. And I think you can transpose that over onto so many things in our civilization today, not only in just building a house, but building a future. So much of what we have, we see as a problem, and it's actually a solution if you can find it.
Yeah, it's all a puzzle, and when there is a problem, you maneuver around it until it looks like a solution. I mean, every problem is a solution, and every solution can be a problem. It's like it all has to do with your ability to maneuver, mentally or spiritually or emotionally or physically, but just maneuvering your thinking and your belief system. And that's what made garbage be, gold for us, because we started seeing garbage as, I see a giant tire pile and I see a city. I mean, garbage to me, what people call garbage, I don't even have a definition in my mind anymore for garbage, because I see it as resource.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the more we go along too, the more we're going to have to realize that. Every once in a while I go to the dump and I just seeing it fill up. And we live in a small community, and I'm seeing that dump fill up. It's amazing that we live in such a world where the systems are so centralized, and not only were we dependent on a centralized system, but we're dependent on a monetary system that is also very fragile and right at the verge of being dysfunctional. So I think living sustainably and living independent off the grid, or at least the ability to do so, is becoming more important for me, myself, personally. I know we have plans to buy a little piece of land down in Brazil and have that as a partial retirement place, but also a place to go to in case things ever really do break down.
Well, they're in the process of breaking down, but the thing is, it's all about, what do you need now? You need water, you need food, you need shelter, you need a certain amount of energy, and it's doable. It's doable right now, and the more you learn, I mean, I can't say it enough, the more simply you learn how to live, the easier it is. I mean, a good example is, if you hike in the Himalayas, you only take a heavy pack once, and you are so miserable from taking that heavy pack that the next time you only take the bare necessities and very small amounts of that, and then you have a much more enjoyable time. So we have taken a heavy pack out into the world as a species or whatever, and now we're learning that taking a lighter pack and we have a better life. And there's the wealthy people have something to learn from the super poor, and the super poor have something to learn from the wealthy. The main thing is that we all learn from each other. And one thing we're looking at now is every person, not just the 17% that can, in the developed world, that can afford mortgages and trying to find a housing solution for them. 83% of the people in the world don't even know what a mortgage is. So we're looking for a method of living on this planet that involves 100% of the people on the planet, and we're learning how to do that by traveling the planet, and it's getting pretty amazing what we're finding and what we're putting together, and what I'm saying is we're constantly learning.
Yeah, this gets into financial enslavement too when you get into mortgages and all of that, and again, this gets into stress-free living. But I was just reading today in Bolivia, they gave nature the status of like a human being. It has rights, and I think that's the beginning of a movement, at least in South America, to give nature rights. I mean, I almost feel a little strange even talking about stuff like this because it seems like a no-brainer that the very thing that sustains your life should be protected. But we live in such an artificial world with all of our meat sanitarily wrapped. We never see what goes on behind the scenes. Everything's in cans and boxes. And I think it's going to get really real for a lot of people when these systems start breaking down.
Yeah, it is. It's and you can see that that's going to happen and is happening. So that it's looking at I said in a book 25 years ago, there's clouds on the horizon. Take shelter.
Yep. Yeah, I like your view from the stars too, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it because it sort of releases you from the biasness of not only being a human, but being a earth being and seeing this planet from an alien perspective, which personally I think might be being done right now, actually. But be able to see this planet from an objective point of view, it really does look like human beings are more like a virus or a bacteria on the planet. But we can turn this around if we reevaluate how we live our lives.
Yeah, it is. And that's kind of what we're seeing. We started out decades ago trying to make a better way to live the way people are living. And we made some headway. But what's important to us now is change the way we're living. And then all the things we have done to make to do that in a different way become very easy. So that's kind of where we're at now, is seeing that the two thoughts have to come together. The one thought of doing things in a more sustainable way, and the other thought of needing less in your whole life program, so that what you do for yourself is much less of a task.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I wrote a book a while back called To Believe or Not to Believe, and it's about all of the ways that we believe. It ends up filtering out so much crucial information. And when you start looking at the fact that most of our beliefs are based on Iron Age beliefs, and the fact that we have grown up into this system, there's so many people, they don't get what we're talking about right now. What would you say to that person to wake them up? If you could get them and mentally and emotionally shake them by the collar with your words, what would you say? Because our magazine is starting to reach traditional people now, not because our magazine has changed or altered its view, but because traditional systems are breaking down and people are looking for alternative ways to live life and take care of their health and so on and so forth. What would you say to that traditional person to wake them up a little bit?
Well, I think the only real wake-up call is when they reach for the milk and it's not there, or they reach for the power and it's not there. And, you can't warn them enough, but it's if you can bring something to them right now that impresses them, and that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to travel in the developed world as well as the undeveloped world, and and bring situations about that show people they do not need the centralized situation in the economy. The decentralized approach is really the shot. And I mean, it's not like I don't really try to convince people. I just put it out there and do it and live it, and then if people see the value in that, they do, and if they don't, they don't. It's not that I really want to stand on a soapbox and preach to people and tell them how they should live and shake them by the collar and change them. I want to quietly demonstrate something, and if it's right, they will follow it. It's like, I look at it more like the Pied Piper. I'm playing a tune, and the people that are moved by that tune, they're going to follow that tune. And if it's the right tune, millions will follow. If it's the wrong tune, nobody will follow. And it's up to me to find the tune that is worthy of being followed, and we are trying to find that. And so what I'm saying is, I don't want to convince people. I want to have something that is so right on that they don't need convincing.
Right. Yeah, I think with the information you're talking about, your sincerity, and the fact the internet has been a game changer. That has changed everything, getting information out to so many people. All of this considered, and I think people are finally starting to recognize that the big changes in life all throughout history have never come from the emperor, the king, or the president, or the people at the top. Every great positive moment in history has always come from one individual at a grassroots level that started a movement where there was a need for that movement. And I think we can see that now with our government. Our government is dysfunctional. And the people at the top, they're not going to initiate change. It's up to people like us at the grassroots level, using the power of the internet to really spread the word.
Right.
It's completely up to us. And I think that is the biggest thing we have to come to grips with, to bring back our power as individuals and realize, I can do this. This is my life, and it's passing before me. I can do this, and get off the idea that the government is going to do it for us, or some organization, or anything. It is up to us as individuals.
I agree.
So you were raised in Kentucky, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in Louisville for a while, actually in LaGrange, Nashville, Tennessee, born in West Virginia. So we're out here in the West now, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm going to let you get back to your life because I know you're busy.
Okay.
I'm going to really do the best I can with this, transcribe it, and I'll be sending you some magazines once we get it published.
Sounds good. Okay.
Okay, Michael, you have a great time in Canada, and I think we'll be in touch again because my wife and I, we want to come down there, do a seminar, and get some hands-on at some point.
Sounds good. Nice to talk to you.
Yep, same here, Michael. You take care.